long. Congressman Raja Krishnamoorthi is a frequent guest on this show. He joins us again, the 8th Congressional Suburban Schaumburg Congressman. Congressman, thanks for joining us. How are you today?
I'm good, John. How are you doing, sir?
Good. How often do members of Congress get tested, Raja?
It's really based on their exposure. Just for instance, this morning, a colleague of mine, Connor Lamb from Pennsylvania, was actually at that debate. And so everybody at that debate, any member of Congress, and I think maybe the entire audience, was advised that they should consider getting tested now. So I saw him as he was going in to get tested himself.
But then if you saw him, then do you feel, I know if you pass somebody in the hall and say hello, that's minimal probability of exposure, but you just think about the sort of contact tracingness of it, then do you feel the need to get tested again?
I talked to him from like 25 feet away from a vehicle, so I don't feel the need, but you're correct that you just need to go back in time to kind of figure out who were you exposed to and in close proximity with.
Well, as a member of Congress who has a constituency here in the Chicago area, how much interaction have you been having with other people?
It's very limited. It's been mainly by Zoom and by phone call and conference calls. So we've tried to, make sure that, people can stay safe but still get their constituent services. And that's extremely important because, as you know, the need is so great right now.
You have anything? I didn't call you to talk about this today, Congressman, but is there anything else you'd like to say about the announcement that the President and First Lady have COVID?
Well, I just wish them well. I think, like millions of Americans, I woke up and saw the news, and I think your first concern is just, making sure that their family is well, he's well, and he is our president, and he has very, very significant responsibilities to protect our national security, health, and safety, and we wish him the very best as he deals with this situation right now, and Melania, the First Lady, as well.
Let's talk a little bit about what the Congress is and is not doing. The airline industry is experiencing massive layoffs as of yesterday. They did not get a second round of stimulus to help them. What are your thoughts about that?
Well, there's late-breaking news, John. It just came across the transom, so to speak, a minute ago. So it appears that the White House and Speaker Pelosi have agreed that regardless of what happens with the broader talks on the stimulus, that they are going to come to terms and extend the payroll support program for another 6 months. That's huge, good, positive news for a change, especially for thousands and thousands of our workers who are affected in the Chicago area.
Do you know any more about the terms of that? Is it the same that they enjoyed before October 1st, and how long is it going to last, et cetera?
They're saying 6 months, John, and I think it's going to be largely on the same terms. But obviously, the details are in the fine print, so to speak. So I'll be looking forward to it. But we did pass, as part of legislation last night, an extension of the PSP, the Payroll Support Program. So I assume that it's going to be very similar to what was passed earlier this spring.
Well, what about other industries? Will they get an extension on PSP?
Well, so PSP was just for the airline industry, Payroll Support Program. PPP was for businesses as a whole, Payroll Protection Program.
Right.
Sorry for the acronyms.
That's okay.
And then, in addition, Secretary Mnuchin is asking for a third pot of money that can be aimed at other industries that were not specifically addressed before. I personally think that's a good idea because whether it's restaurants or hotels in the hospitality industry or the tourism industry or what have you, they've been decimated, John, and I think that they need a lot of help.
Congressman, a lot of individuals are decimated regardless of their industry or business they're in. Maybe they're self-employed because they don't have a stimulus check and they don't have a supplement for their unemployment benefits. It's amazing to us that nothing has been done. And by us, I mean so many people in the Chicagoland area who reach out to me and say, what's the deal? Why can't you guys get this done?
I 100% agree. This is ridiculous. We should just get it done yesterday. I personally am somewhat more optimistic today that Secretary Mnuchin and Speaker Pelosi are hashing out the details as we speak. I think that we should do a few things. Like you said, the extra $1,200 checks for the families, very important. The extra unemployment insurance, it's the enhanced unemployment insurance, very important. But also state and local aid. You know, I told you this before, John, but I'm getting calls and texts and emails from Republican mayors, Democratic mayors, basically saying that, look, you know, we always talk about defund the police. Well, if you don't get us additional aid from Washington, D.C., we're going to be defunding the police. Police officers and first responders are going to be laid off very soon, even as we're approaching the holiday season, John. So this is something that, in my opinion, we should get done as well.
Well, that's on you, Congressman. I didn't hear you say, I feel bad that I've failed my constituents in this. You have 140-something of a responsibility there, right?
Absolutely. I agree. And last night I voted for another stimulus package. But I think nothing is done until we actually get a deal done with the White House now.
Last thing about that, though, how far should the Democrats be willing to go? One says $3 trillion, one says $1 trillion, the total cost of these aid packages, and most of us think $2 trillion is in the middle. But should you all just go ahead and swallow the Republican version of this, even though you don't like it, because at least it's something?
So the challenge is this, John. I think that there are certain buckets of need that aren't being met completely, and I mean they're entirely being neglected. And to command the majority of Congress to support, you got to address the needs, and so that's kind of where we are. I think they're close. The last that I heard, Mnuchin was offering $1.5 trillion. I think Pelosi is at $2 trillion. I think we should be getting right there. I think we got to get it done ASAP.
Last question then, Congressman. Look into your crystal ball. When do you think someone's going to get another $600 in the mail or another $1,200?
I'd like to see it happen in this month. If not, I don't know exactly when, but based on the timing last time, it was about 4 to 5 weeks after we approved legislation. So I'd like to see it happen before Thanksgiving, if not sooner.
Yeah, likewise. Stay safe, stay well. We always appreciate your time, and good news on the airline industry and the extension of the PSP. Thank you, Congressman.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Raja Krishnamoorthi joined.